There we go, brother. Can you hear me?
Hello, hello, hello. Yes, I hear you. Can you hear me?
I can, dude. Nice to meet
What's
you.
What's up, man? Yeah, nice to meet you
How are you?
too. I'm pretty good, man. It's really it's 7:30 here. Woke up 2 hours ago. Started
7:30.
breakfast.
That's right.
Yes,
Wow.
our
Where are
time
you
difference
again?
is nuts. I'm in Indonesia. I'm on an island next to Bali. It's called Lombok.
In Lombok. Okay. How is that? How long have you been there for? I think you told me on the call, but I don't remember.
Yeah. I've been here for 3 months now, and in total, I'm gonna stay for like five-ish. Basically, so it's mixed because
Okay.
it's pretty raw, which is good for like circadian things, but obviously not super convenient. Yeah. Besides that, obviously the weather is amazing. Surfing here is absolutely amazing.
Mm-hmm.
The downsides are a little bit the food isn't that great, and it's let's say, so basically this island is fully Muslim, so you have a lot of mosques that
Right.
sing.
That's right.
Yeah,
You told
so
me.
that's a little bit annoying for like for I guess tourists, but besides that, it's really cool.
Sunrise is at 5:30 then.
Yes, exactly.
Okay. You wake up at 5:30 for the sunrise, of course, I'd
Yes,
imagine.
yes, yes,
Okay.
yes. That's what
I
we
just
do
want to
here.
have. Yeah, of course. That's what we're going to talk about today. Um, I'm curious in another thing. So you said you already had breakfast. What'd you have?
Yes. I had the the classic 7 eggs and some
Boom.
rice waffles.
Love it, dude. Like
Yes, shitloads of fat, shitloads of protein. Let's go.
it's like a bodybuilder breakfast almost. Just get it whatever you can in.
Exactly, exactly.
I
Yes.
love it. Are the days longer right now or shorter?
I mean, since this is basically tropics, it's almost always the same. You get like 12 hours of sunlight. I mean, basically all year. It changes a little bit, but yeah. So you get sun from 5:30 until 6:10.
Oh, that's super nice.
Yeah.
What are you gonna do after this? You're just starting your
Um,
day.
I actually contemplated of going surfing for an hour or two.
That's beautiful, dude.
Yes.
Um, so we've been riffing for a while already, and I haven't got to the point I want to get, which is who are you? For the people who
Yeah,
don't
so
know.
absolutely. So yeah, my real name is Alex, but obviously I'm Helios Brah, and I'm just regular dude. Basically, I don't have like a formal education in biology or chemistry or medicine or any of those things. But I guess like around 30, I just started developing some health issues, and
I'm 30 years old.
yeah, around 30, like
Okay.
29, 30. And in the beginning, it was just like, like sleep issues. Then sleep issues got worse. Then apparently I had sleep apnea. It's like, oh, okay. But doctors weren't super concerned. It's like, yeah, it's quite common
It's
around
just
30.
sleep
People have
apnea.
it. It's like usually it's more like, older people and people who are overweight. Like I've been in the gym basically all my life,
Hmm.
never been overweight. So that's a little bit weird. But they said, yeah, it's, it happens. So I got like no surgery because my sinuses were a little bit fucked up. That helped. But then it came back. Then I got like an appliance. That helped. Then it
Like
came
the
back.
machine.
No, not the machine. Just the jaw. So it's a retainer that you sleep with, and that pushes
Okay.
your jaw forward. That helped too. But then everything went to shit again.
What?
Um,
Sorry. What's the idea behind that? Just to open the sinuses more?
no, no. So this is for it pushes your lower jaw in front, and that way your airway is more open.
Okay.
And you just keep that in all night, and yeah, basically it just gives you more airway space,
Okay.
and that
My bad
helped.
for
That
interrupting.
that basically actually helped as much as the surgery. But then, literally 1 year later, again sleep issues again. Like
Hmm.
it was pretty bad. Like I started to wake up at night and like being super confused, not knowing where I am, and like always needing like 2 3 minutes to like figure out what the fuck is going on. And
Really?
yes,
Wow.
and then my girlfriend was obviously like going crazy because this was happening like 2 3 4 times a night, and then
Wow.
you get like a racing heart with that, and shit is just like it wasn't. I mean, like I did the sleep apnea test, and my AHHI, apnea hypopnea index, was like 8 on the side, which isn't that bad, but 22 on the back. So that's pretty classic for obstructive sleep apnea, OSA. But those aren't like the craziest symptoms. Like there are people who are a lot worse than that, but still, like my sleep disruption was very significant from that. So I mean, okay, that issue was like, whatever. I kind of managed it with all those things, but then like other things started appearing. I started to have like prostate issues, urination issues, and then I started to have fucking heart palpitations, like that got like so bad that I wasn't even like able to sleep for a period of time, and then in the end also eye irritation. and it's, I mean, now I'm 35, and obviously all of those things happened like in a span of 5 years, and I was going from doctor to doctor to doctor to doctor, urologist and sleep doctor and fucking eye doctor and cardiologist, doing all the tests that are necessary, and basically every single one told me, you're fine, like we don't see anything. All the tests look great. You're in amazing shape. Like we don't know what's wrong with you. Here is something. Like take this. Like either like, I mean, it was like either some extract or like some. I would say like it was more like a placebo thing than anything that actually could help you. But like they didn't find anything. And then at that point you kind of go, okay, this is bullshit. They don't know what's wrong with me. If I don't like fix this, what's going to happen like 2, 3, 4, 5 years? Because obviously it's getting worse. So that's, then you kind of start researching, right? You look at on X, on Twitter, you look on fucking WebMD, you Google all the keywords, and you stumble across all those crazy people and influencers and gurus and whatnot. And yeah, at some point, obviously, I stumbled across Jack Kruse. Obviously, that's like the first impression was like, that's definitely the craziest of them all, because the profile picture said like, "Do not comply," and like he had a, I don't know, biohazard emoji in his name, and his name is Pleb. What the fuck is this? And then you researched a little bit. It's like, okay, it seems like a legit guy. He's actually a doctor, long career in neurosurgery and whatnot, and he's a bit of a character, but like it kind of checks out. He's legit. And then I started like implementing his stuff, but the thing is, like a lot of the things that he teaches, it's so simple, right? It's like get some more sun,
Literally
like,
just that.
Yeah, like obviously like respect your circadian rhythm more, and like go to bed at a certain, and so on and so forth. But it's so much more complicated than this. Like it's like it sounds so easy, but literally I was doing all the things for probably like 6 months, and I didn't have any results, zero. And I mean, I was feeling maybe a little bit better, but like nothing, like everything was the same. And I thought like, well, okay, that obviously didn't work. let's see what like some other guru has to say, because obviously this doesn't help me. And then I was listening to his live calls, his webinar calls, and his membership, and there was that woman that like, because I was listening to several, I like recognized her voice, and she was not getting it. Like she was like asking questions and whatnot, but she was not getting the point. She had like real serious issues, like a lot more serious, like for real issues. I think she was from California, and she was like not getting anything what he was trying to say. And at some point he just had it, and he just like annihilated her. He's like, what the fuck is your problem? Like why are you like don't you understand? If you don't do this, you will die. Like like really like lit her up basically in that call. And to be honest, I'm not sure that she got the message, but I got the message. And the gist of what he said like, you can't, like if you go out in the sun for like an hour and like do the sunrises and whatnot, and you have like chronic disease or like actual issues that are serious, that is not enough. Like that is not going to help you at all. It doesn't matter where you do it or how you do it. And so that was kind of my wake-up call where I thought, oh wait, okay. That was kind of my wake-up call where I thought, okay, maybe I'm not doing enough. like maybe this is not working because the principles are not working. Maybe I'm just not like going hard enough. And so I started going harder. I was like in a place that had actually solid sun, and I like really made an effort to.
Where was that?
That was south of Spain, so it was like May, and that's basically when Spain gets like good sun, starts getting like good UV. It's like UV 7, 8 in the middle of the day, and I started to like really first like really circle in on the EMF stuff, where you sleep, how your whole environment is. Then second of all, the sun thing, and some cold exposure, and basically all the principles that he teaches. And like literally 2 days into this, because all the time I'm tracking my sleep, I'm like listening to how I snore, how much I snore, how many times I wake up, tracking it in a fucking Excel sheet, like going completely crazy, like trying to get some data on all of those things. And literally like 2 days of like going harder, I noticed I completely stopped snoring. Like usually I would snore like, I don't know, 12, 13, 14 times a night, and like after 2 days the snoring was just
How
gone.
the fuck do you track your snoring?
It's an app, and but all the apps really suck, so you kind of have to do it also manually. It's a pain in the ass, but at least like with the system that I came up with so far, it kind of works, but it's just not super accurate. But you can definitely see I can definitely see like in the numbers exactly where I sleep worse and better. So like usually it was like, I don't know, 14 snoring episodes per night, and then literally 2 days later it was 0. What? And I thought, like, okay, that's insane. Because like I went to the gym all my life. I took all the supplements. I took all my protein shakes. Like I my understanding of health was that world. And so when you like go out on the beach and like lay in the sun for hours, grounded, and then like fucking rearrange your bedroom to like fucking get all the electronics into one, all the crazy things that you do. Like it wasn't super like logical that this would like have such an effect, because I'm not taking any pills, I'm not taking any supplements. Like it's just from that. And that was half a year ago, I guess. And since then I'm basically
just half a year ago.
Yes, and since then I'm basically like exponentially going crazier and crazier on the circadian stuff. So obviously I moved from, well, not moved, but
I can see it in your skin, dude.
Yeah, exactly.
Good shit.
This is so I increased the sun stuff like a lot. Like many days I just like put my laptop under a tent and just work in the sun in UV 12 here in Indonesia. So that I mean, obviously productivity wise it's not great on those days, but sun wise it's amazing.
Yes.
And essentially moved to Indonesia because of the sun, and also like ran into some other problems here, because I mean it's complicated, right? Like in Europe, the lighting at night is usually like a lot higher quality than like in a developing country like it is here. So you have to be a lot more careful with that stuff. But obviously there you don't have the sun, and here you do. So that's still a benefit. And basically going crazy and crazy with all that stuff, and like the symptoms essentially started improving and improving and improving. So now I'm at a point, you have to imagine, I slept with my retainer in the mouth, with a backpack, which like an actual like hiking pack, 20 liters with a pillow stuffed in it, so that I won't turn on the side, on the back, because the back was my biggest issue. When I'm sleeping on the back, it happens more. Then I had like a nose strip, a mouth tape, like fucking sleeping, like all that shit, right? Like that was helping to some extent. But now I'm sleeping without anything, like no mouth guard, no backpack, no nothing, and I'm sleeping fine. Like it's not perfect. It's not like I'm symptom free, but
it's not what it was.
Like 6 months ago, that wouldn't even have been possible. I would have like woken up 6 times a night, like looking under the bed or something, being completely confused. Like it would have been a complete shit show. So that's obviously a win. then the stuff. I mean, my eyes are a lot better. The prostate symptoms are a lot better. I kind of don't really have them anymore. I mean, I'm hoping they're it's 6 months. Like, I don't know how robust this is.
What were those prostate symptoms like?
Like, just inflammation, and you feel it in that area where it just feels like swollen, I guess.
Okay.
And also urination issues, like when you go to take a piss basically, and you're done, but you're not really done, and you have to sit there and kind of wait, and it's like that type of stuff. And all of that stuff is better. I mean, the prostate stuff is definitely. I haven't had any issues for the past probably 4 months or something. I don't know how robust this is, but it seems good. Also, I've been quite into the whole blood draw thing. So I looked at my labs basically in 3-ish month intervals, and they look a lot better. So my free testosterone is up by a lot. My thyroid was kind of low-ish. It's completely fine now. My LH, luteinizing hormone, was like non-existent, and now it's like 4 or 5x, like just exploded out of nowhere. So that looks a lot better, which, at least like that supports, with all those things, you kind of like always think, like, am I just like telling myself that I feel better, or am I actually feeling better?
Right,
And,
that's where you see you're actually better.
Yeah, and the blood is obviously like a great thing that can't really lie to you. You just get the data and just look at it, and it's like, okay, this improves too. So I guess this is actually working. And I mean, the idea now is like to continue doing what I'm doing basically, and hoping that all of this stuff gets resolved. Which, I mean, it looks like it, and I'm pretty psyched and happy about it so far.
I love that. Yeah. So I have so much to like break down from that.
Yeah, for sure.
First of all, like from Gym Bro to Helios Brah.
Yes.
What's your takeaway in that journey? What's like what are the differences? What do you see in that lifestyle that's broken now?
Well, I'm definitely so like with all with all of Crew's teachings, like it's not super like surprising that all this stuff is happening to me, because I'm definitely the worst with technology, like 100% in front of a screen since I'm probably 12 or something, or 11.
Okay.
And never outside, just in front of the like the worst.
Yes.
And obviously, when I was small, it was more like, computer games and just playing things online, all of that culture. And then when I grew up, it was more like job related stuff. I started to work in marketing. Obviously, that's around technology all the time too. And so considering that's obviously not super surprising that I have all those issues now, when you look at what Cruz teaches and says.
So you can link them in hindsight right now to blue light and non-native EMFs.
I think so. Yeah, 100%. And I always lived in huge fucking cities, and adding to that was also always horrible about technology.
Okay.
And I mean,
yeah. Sorry, continue.
Yeah, and I mean, now obviously that all changed to a huge extent. So I've posted it on Twitter. I'm completely e-inked out. So you have to imagine, I have my MacBook here, and on top of the MacBook, just on the screen, I have an e-ink tablet that I plug into USB. And the screen, the actual MacBook screen that is blue lit is off. So I'm like looking and doing everything on the tablet right now. And in addition to that, I got this thing here, which is an ink phone.
I think I saw.
Exactly, yeah. So that doesn't have any blue light either. So I changed everything. And I mean, in addition to that, I was obviously like taking supplements and doing all of that stuff. Right now, I'm taking magnesium chloride sometimes when I don't forget, kind of.
Sometimes.
So, like, I don't know, maybe twice a week, 3 times. It really like depends on, but like not frequent. And besides that, nothing. Like nothing. like zero.
Okay.
I've been in the whole macro tracking thing,
Mm-hmm.
like, you know, actually tracking every day, every single food. I have to hit my 250 protein, blah 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 blah. Not doing any of that either anymore. I'm
Love
completely
it.
eating
Yeah.
intuitively, and just when I'm hungry, I eat whatever, and when I'm not hungry, I don't eat. Obviously, I'm looking a little bit at protein. So that, for example, all those eggs, I
7
kind of
eggs.
see that I get my protein in, at least like 100 something. But
But the
again, I'm
rice
not.
cakes, bro. Come on.
But I mean, 6 eggs and 3 rice cakes. Who
Yes.
cares?
Yeah. Yeah.
um, but you know, like, not. I'm not tracking anything. I have no idea how much protein I ate yesterday or the day before or whatever, and like it kind of works. I just, you know, follow the circadian stuff that you don't
I
eat
love it.
like at night and whatnot. But and obviously, the only thing food wise I do look at is just consuming more seafood,
Local. And local?
local, seasonal, and more seafood. Yes,
I
those are
love
the
it.
three. And
Seafood, DHA. I want to take a note of that.
yeah, yeah, and I mean, yeah. So far that seems to work. And I guess like the biggest change from that guy to Helios Brah is just changing all those things up. Like, actually, you know, like paying attention to those principles, to EMFs, to seafood, to not having blue light in your face all fucking day, and all those things.
Right. So I'm curious about this. How did you attack that non-native EMF change? How did you start that move?
Well, I mean, when I started with it, you can always only like do things that you can do, right? Like, I mean, ideally, you just say, okay, I'm taking this EMF thing seriously. I'm buying a house now on a cliff in the Mediterranean Sea that is like
Mm-hmm.
connected to nothing, and I built it from scratch, and it's perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, that's not doable for anyone, really.
Sure.
And when I started with it, I was basically living in the center of a medium-sized city that was Malaga, Spain. And not a huge city by any means, but still 5G and everything. And so
Mm-hmm.
you kind of just, you know, do the things that you can do. Obviously, that was it was flat in a complex where where there were many other flats. So you just do the, you know, turning off the Wi-Fi, seeing
Mm-hmm.
that there is no electronics around your bed, or just like paying attention to where your bed is, and like trying to turn everything off when you go to sleep. That's like the easy things. But then I was traveling, or I am traveling for quite a while now, and I don't really live anywhere. So that makes things easier and more complicated at the same time. But
Mm-hmm.
the thing is, I did get a meter, just a tri-field meter, and I check usually now the places before I book them for a month or whatever.
You have
And
a
and
there's a
yeah, and
tower right in front of you.
what again?
There's a tower right in front of you. Is it like a power line?
Yeah, that's what do you call it? Power line. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Beautiful. Um,
Yes, and yeah, but that's so the most important thing is like where you sleep shouldn't have like, you know, crazy electric fields or magnetic fields or RF radiation, and you can check that to some extent with even a simple tri-field meter. Obviously, there are better trackers and meters and more
mhm.
expensive ones, but if you're traveling and you're changing locations all the time anyway, that actually works. And for, like, you know, for mitigating the biggest no-nos, that's enough.
Love it. So you've basically been dealing and fixing these health issues with light, just changing your circadian rhythm, while focusing on circadian rhythm, light, magnetism, all that good stuff. Sleep apnea, low testosterone, your prostate urine, heart palpitations. I don't know what AFib is. What is AFib?
It's atrial fibrillation, so that's when your heart goes crazy, and
Okay.
you get like, well, it started out with like chest pressure kinda, and then it gets like, if it gets worse, goes crazy. Like you just get really crazy heartbeat, and like your hands can start shaking, and like
Ugh.
you kind of like think you get a heart attack, but it's not. I mean, you can actually get a heart attack from this, but usually heart attacks are connected to arterial calcification, where you get calcium deposits in your arteries, and then they are thinner, and then blood pressure rises, and then that is not it. So this is more of a, I guess, nobody really knows, right? But this is more of a like a arrhythmia sort of thing, that it doesn't beat properly in the right not frequency, but rhythm, and then you get these issues. And mine were 100% caused by blue light.
That's incredible that you can trace that to blue light. I mean, that's
Dude,
what I want to talk about.
It's crazier than you think, because I was super unaware of this, and it took me a shitload of time to figure out that the heart thing is literally from blue light. And the thing that where I understood that was the case, I was actually talking to my mom, and she had exactly the same shit when she was 35 years old, because she did some, I don't know, design course or something, was like up at night in front of the computer doing design work. And she also got exactly the same heart palpitations, like going crazy. She thought she was dying. And then basically all that got fixed when she took a longer vacation.
Okay.
And
Wow.
and so it's, this the whole mitochondrial DNA thing is like so obvious here, because obviously all those engines I get 100% from mom, right? Like mitochondrial DNA comes 100% from my mom. So it makes a lot of sense that she has exactly the same issues that I have with blue light. So that was super not obvious. Like I mean, I was running from cardiologist to cardiologist, doing EKGs. Like like everyone was telling me, "You're completely fine. What are you talking about?" And
Wow.
then
What the fuck, dude?
yeah, after talking to her, it was like, "Oh, okay, wow, like this is actually blue light caused."
So that was your only link that you understood, that it was blue light caused.
Well, that was the most obvious one. I mean, obviously that was already after I um, was consuming all of the content from Cruise, but still like figuring out that exactly this was the issue. It was
Right.
like it just wasn't apparent. Like it seemed to me like it came out of nowhere. But then when I think back and like what I did, for example, I was in so we went with friends to like a amusement park, basically. And there was like an arcade with like old school games like fucking Street Fighter, whatever. And obviously arcades are like inside, everything's dark, and like there's blue light everywhere, and it's an arcade. And so we were like just basically having fun and playing all those games and being silly and like doing that for, I don't know, 2-3 hours, and then going home. And then on that night, I had like the most insane night ever. Like I couldn't sleep, my heart was going crazy, like I was literally going insane, thinking about like calling the ambulance or something.
Wow.
And like it didn't click at all that like literally the arcade caused that, like at all. I thought like, okay, why, this is completely random, it came out of nowhere now. But yeah, after talking to my mom, that was like, oh, obviously.
Low testosterone, for example, how do you link that to blue light or non-AFIB?
So the low T thing, I think, is more of a lack of sun issue than a blue light issue. I think the blue light plays a role too.
Could you explain that a little bit deeper?
Because essentially every sex hormone has a cholesterol backbone. So
Right.
if you look at it chemically, in every single sex hormone you see the cholesterol molecule, basically. And so every single one is essentially made from cholesterol. And everyone is kind of focusing on that back end of the conversion thing. So it's from cholesterol, sulfate cholesterol, pregnenolone, and then all the sex hormones. But what essentially Cruz pointed out, and what I think my biggest issue is, like if you don't sulfate cholesterol, it won't be transported to all the parts in your body where it can get, it can get synthesized further into those all those other hormones.
And what does that mean to like sulfate cholesterol?
Well, that's the thing. You can, there are several pathways of doing that, but the most efficient one is sun on skin.
Skin in the game, yeah, okay.
Yeah. So essentially, if you don't get any sun, you're not sulfating any cholesterol. And then obviously, when you go and do a blood draw and you see elevated cholesterol, well, that kind of makes sense because it's stuck.
It means you're just
like
not using it.
Exactly, you ate all of that cholesterol, but you're missing that step to get it converted to all the other things.
Right.
And so I think that was the biggest thing for raising T. And I mean, I'm quite interested. Like my next blood draw is probably like in 2-3 weeks, and I'm quite interesting to see what's going to happen with it. But I feel really good, and like all of the, let's say, things that people say when testosterone rises, like clearer thinking.
No, you look testosterone.
And all of those things, like I definitely can relate with those. I feel a lot better. I'm not like the sluggishness is not there as much anymore, and I think it's important to like look at your blood work. That's great, but you should be feeling like in sync with what you see, and that is definitely the case. So I think for all people that like are struggling with specifically testosterone, I think like the sun should be like the number one thing you should be focusing on.
Wow.
And if you don't have sun, do cold. It's not as good, but if you like live somewhere way up north in Sweden or whatever where there's literally no sun, then that is plan B. But
do cold because you want to also stimulate POMC?
Yes, and well, the most important thing is the whole biophoton story.
Emission, right?
Yeah. So essentially, it's kind of the same as getting UV light. You're just getting it from the inside because of biophoton.
Could you explain that to normies?
Yeah. Well, it's actually the concept that is like, let's say the most complicated to grasp for normal people because it sounds absolutely insane, and it sounds like you are about to hug trees and like meditate, ayahuasca jungle, like all those like weird fucking shit that you see on social media. But the thing is, as with many of Crew's stuff, it's stuff that we've known for like since the 60s or like old research. And it's not really contested either. Like it's so old. It's just not really like people just didn't focus in on this part of biology, but it's there, and it's pretty much proven that every essentially cell emits light. It's very low frequency light. It's obviously you don't see it. But every single cell in your body, and not only in your body, in like animals and plants and everything, emit light. And this, I mean, essentially, you can use this light to, when we were talking about testosterone, you can use this light to increase also your testosterone, because essentially, you need UV light to sulfate cholesterol on your skin, but you can get it from the sun, or you can get it from your own cells.
That's crazy. And shit, wow.
Yeah, that is an like absolutely mind-blowing concept, but there is like very serious research from the 70s, old as fuck, that says yes, it's true. Like every cell emits light. It's very low frequency, but it does emit light.
Who was the first to do this research? Becker? I don't remember.
No. That's Alexander Gurwitch,
right,
Russian guy, and he did it with
an onion
roots. Exactly.
That's fucking crazy. And I mean, that's the example you just gave. Anything that's alive emits light. This is crazy.
Yes. And the experiment was he basically used, I think, regular glass and quartz glass. And quartz glass, like UV light passes through.
It's more It's more what's it called? Fuck. It's more conductant.
No. The glass just you like the UV frequencies pass through quartz glass,
Oh,
and
right.
they don't pass through regular glass. And he made an experiment where he checked for UV, and basically with the quartz glass there was a reaction, and without it there wasn't. And that kind of proves, okay, there must be something going on with UV light in these onion roots. And I mean, when I'm saying it right now, we're talking, it sounds nuts. It sounds absolutely
It
fucking
does.
crazy. It's like, okay, guys, I'm turning off this podcast. You're obviously insane.
Mhm.
But just Google Alexander Gurevich onion root
It's that
experiment.
simple, literally.
It's and see and just read the paper, and then tell us what you think.
And something even a little bit more mainstream is Becker's work on bone,
Yeah.
which is
So
also wild.
that is absolutely. I mean, the thing is, I haven't dived deep into Becker's work yet,
Nah, come on.
because
Wow.
I definitely have to read that book and everything. But obviously, that's like, I mean, I guess that's like the cruise of his time. Like, that was the guy that actually pushed all this stuff forward
Yes.
before we had Cruise.
Oh man, that's a really important book for you to read, dude.
Yeah,
Really.
for sure.
In
For
this
sure.
journey, like especially, I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure Cruz Jack had a conversation with him before he passed.
I think he did. Yeah, I think those guys
Yeah.
actually met. Yeah.
Yeah, it's wild. I remember when I read the part of the book where he discovered he wasn't looking for this, but he discovered that bone was an LED. It just like I was stuck there, just like
Dude,
wow.
I really need to read this book.
Yes,
Like,
it's
really
incredible.
need.
Incredible.
Electric Body Man, for sure.
Yes,
Yeah.
even my grandma's reading the book.
Really?
Yes, I've talked
That's
about
awesome,
it
man.
so much in my family of how it's
Sick.
literally been the best book I've read in my life.
Sick.
Now my grandma's
Sick.
reading it.
Yeah, I 100% have to read that. That's that is
Yeah.
100% true. Yeah.
Sleep apnea. This one's big for
Yes.
me, especially. I feel like I don't have sleep apnea, but
Yeah.
I know so many that do.
Yeah.
It is just such it's a common problem today. Unfortunately,
Man, there's so many people
common.
now. Yeah. It's
And
so
we
many
have
people.
it so wrong,
Yeah.
right? Could you explain why we do? It's so like mind blowing when.
Man, it's the thing is, I'm gonna butcher it for sure because it's complicated as fuck. Like, for real.
No worries.
Um,
But the whole like reactive oxygen
Yeah.
species thing, which is wild.
So let's start with kind of the mainstream thinking about this. You
Please.
have OSA and you have CSA. That's obstructive sleep apnea and central sleep apnea. OSA is believed to be like essentially a muscle issue, like muscle or like just space issue, that like your airways are too narrow, and maybe you suffer like from muscle loss when you age, and then all those tissues like don't perform as well as they should inside your airway, and then you it happens that your airway collapses. That kind of would make sense if I would be like 65 and would weigh, I don't know, 270 pounds. Like, fine, I understand.
Yes.
But that's not the case, right? So,
It's not.
okay, that part kind of doesn't make sense for a 35-year-old dude that is like in good shape.
No.
CSA is like the part that makes more sense. That is like more focused on neurologic and nerve function. And so it just says, okay, maybe you have like something like a peripheral neuropathy, where like part of your nerve, you basically suffered nerve damage, and that is why the airway muscles, obviously, that are connected to this, and just generally all the stuff that is happening in the airway isn't working properly.
Right.
That kind of makes more sense in my case, for sure. But the thing is, it's a very specific place that you get this. Like, why the fuck would you get this in the airway? Like, first of all, that's like top 3 body function, breathing. Like,
Right.
why in the world would it, like turn off something else? Like, it's,
Yeah. Okay.
it's such an important function. And so then if you go beyond, like, this is basically like kind of the centralized view, and essentially nobody knows. Like, I've talked to my sleep doctors. One of those guys was in Germany, professor, doctor, and I mean, he seemed very knowledgeable, but in the end, nobody fucking knows why. It doesn't really make sense, and there is no good explanation. So now you go into like the theory stuff that is, based on crew stuff, based on
Right.
What could be causing this.
Right.
And essentially he came to the conclusion that, okay, maybe this is actually not like a loss of function in muscles or nerves. This is actually a protective mechanism, which is like what
that's wow.
Yes,
Right.
but I mean, like historically, we had a lot of things in the body that we thought were working one way, but actually it's much more complicated, and
Yes.
it's actually like the function is completely different.
Mm-hmm.
So okay, like that sounds crazy, but like let's kind of roll with it.
Mm-hmm.
His idea is basically that when reactive oxygen species rises in your body, and ROS is like a very crucial signaling mechanism in your body. It basically signals a shitload of body functions. But in this specific case, there is too much of it. So
Right. Exactly. Okay.
there's too much reactive oxygen species, and if this rises, it leads to inflammation.
Okay.
And then you accumulate inflammation until a point where the body says, okay, if we get more inflammation, we will lose crucial body functions. We have to do something, or your body says basically you have to do something.
Mm-hmm.
And then it kind of throws the kitchen sink at the issue by choking you the fuck out at night, because it wants to stop more oxygen flow into your
That's
body.
fucking
Because
wild, dude. That is
because
just
you're already
wow.
over-oxidized, and which is why you're inflamed. So that is a pretty crazy thesis. To like build on this more, like reaction of oxygen species is made in the mitochondria. And again, in especially cytochrome 1 and cytochrome 3, or complex 1, complex 3, are responsible for creating reactive oxygen species, which is crucial
Yes.
for signaling. Like, we need this. But if it gets out of hand,
You make too
first
many.
of all, it's too much. And at some point, that reactive oxygen species starts leaking out of the mitochondria into the cell.
Okay.
And reactive oxygen species is kind of problematic because it reacts with all kinds of shit in bad ways.
Right.
And you don't want that.
They started like steal electrons, right?
Exactly. And so this is an issue. And then that would kind of explain why your body would choke you out at night, because essentially reactive oxygen species is also responsible for apoptosis and autophagy, which is cell repair and cell death. Basically, if you don't want to get cancer, you need those two systems working all the time.
Right.
And when you get so much ROS that you get inflamed and you start to lose control over these two systems, basically, like, that's a huge issue. Like,
Okay.
this needs to be fixed, because if this goes on for longer, your risk of cancer increases exponentially.
Right.
And so that kind of, like, I mean, with viewing it from this standpoint, you kind of go, okay, maybe it's plausible that your body would do something as radical as starting to choke you out at night, because those two systems work at night. They don't work during the day. And so this is like a good explanation of, okay, maybe this is the reason why, like, you would do something crazy as that.
It's wild, yeah.
But then this is not the only part of this whole thing. So the ROS thing is one thing, and they're all connected, by the way. It's like, it's several theories that are kind of together. They, like, one of them could be right, all of them could be right, and all together could be right too.
Yeah.
The next one is deuterium. Because how you essentially make ROS is from deuterium.
Okay.
And when you have too much deuterium in the mitochondria, your mitochondria stops working properly, and you lose membrane potential. And so that adds to the problem of if, like, that just makes everything more inflamed, and everything works less well, and that's like another part of the problem. another part of the problem is when tissues lose energy, they
Yes.
start to swell. So this might be another angle where you just like you have cells in your body that where mitochondrial energy production
Right.
is going badly, and shit is inflamed, and you get more and more inflamed. Maybe that's why parts of your airway start swelling up, and you lose the space that you would usually have
Mm,
to breathe properly.
right.
That's another
Right.
another part of this kind of puzzle that might play into this. And yeah, that's, I mean, I guess those are the most important points. I hope I kind of brought this. I hope I, like, there is a lot of stuff that in this that is still not very well explained,
Mm-hmm.
but it's definitely an explanation, and it's definitely an explanation for why I could increase my sun exposure
Right.
and
That
my
was
sleep is getting better. Like,
that's what I was
because
about to say.
because
Like,
because that part doesn't make any fucking sense if you like explain this to a doctor or something, because like, why the fuck, why? And that kind of makes sense if you think about melanin and melatonin, because since I'm more in the sun, I'm building more melanin. I think, like, in melanin synthesis, ROS, as a reactive oxygen species, is involved in 7 steps or something. So it mops up ROS like crazy. So every time you make melanin, you just like completely get rid of all of the reactive oxygen species in your body, because it is needed in melanin synthesis. And so that
uh,
that would that that would be a good explanation of why me being in the sun helps so much.
and it could also be you're depleting more deuterium.
Exactly.
You're
That's
giving
that's the other
yourself
thing.
more
That's
electrons.
exactly. That's the deuterium part is the other part of the side where the more sun you get, the more deuterium you deplete through, well, mostly your skin, um, and because essentially also melanin puts deuterium, and by the way, all kinds of heavy metals, but that's a different topic. But deuterium in uh, essentially inner tissue, so your hair, your skin, and that just gets transported out and dies off. And so that's a natural mechanism of how your body gets rid of deuterium. But
Whoa, I did
obviously,
not know that.
yeah, and if you don't go in the sun or don't cold expose, because same shit just from inside,
Mm-hmm.
um, that doesn't happen. And so you get stuck with the deuterium. Obviously, deuterium makes mitochondrial function, just wrecks it if you get too much. And we talked about this being a problem in this whole issue.
Mm, that's wild. So why is it a problem for what? Okay, could you give us what? Okay, what is deuterium, and why is that a problem for the mitochondria?
Yeah, so deuterium is a form of water, essentially, and
Hydrogen.
exactly, and you have different, what do you call it? Different
I,
concentrations of deuterium uh, in different liquids, and usually when you live, for example, like I do right now around the tropics, and I just drink the local mineral water, for
mm-hmm,
example, it will have 155 parts per million deuterium in it, because that is basically a function of how the water system on this planet works.
mm-hmm.
If I would be doing the same in north of Norway, like really, really high north, that deuterium content would be a lot lower. It would be like 100, probably 40, 45 parts per million.
Wow.
Um, and the problem with deuterium is that it competes with. So, I mean, now we have to kind of like go into mitochondrial function and how what is happening in the mitochondria to produce energy, but without like going crazy on this
Mm-hmm,
stuff.
mm-hmm.
Essentially, it competes for certain. Um, it competes in energy production in mitochondria. So if you have too much deuterium, your mitochondria don't function properly. That is like kind of like the short version.
It competes. You mean it's taking the place from normal hydrogen?
Exactly. So you need water in your mitochondria to make it run properly, and
Yes.
it competes with the regular water that is not heavy water. So deuterium is also called heavy water,
Mm-hmm.
and it's called heavy water because the deuterium atom molecule is a lot larger than the water one.
Mm-hmm.
So any time in the mitochondria, there are places where water is needed and water is attracted to certain complexes and so on and so forth, and that water can be replaced by deuterium if you have too much deuterium, because the same way those complexes attract the water, they attract deuterium even more because it's a bigger,
Right.
more
Okay.
bigger
Heavier
atom.
atom. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
There's a topic that you post a lot on X, which is dopamine, specifically like dopamine depletion in
Yeah,
this sick world.
yeah.
Could you talk about that and why dopamine is such a big story today?
Yeah, I think it's actually kind of funny. Like when I started to learn about hormones and everything, you kind of it was always like, especially from this whole gym bro perspective, it was always about testosterone and how testosterone makes you more decisive and
Right.
calms your mind and more aggressive and all those things. And actually, a lot of that is rather dopamine than
Right.
testosterone.
Right.
and then and
Okay.
then it's and then in the second part it's actually not even testosterone, it's more like DHT, but fuck it. But
Mm-hmm.
a lot of those qualities that, like, thinking straight and not having like brain fog and all of those things, that's actually more a function of dopamine than it is a function of testosterone. And dopamine, so that makes it like really important. And if if you're low dopamine, you will struggle with decision making, you will struggle with just thinking clearly, you kind of like get stuck in thought loops, essentially, all the things that are connected to a low dopamine status. And now, like, the most interesting part is how dopamine is connected to uh, the sun, essentially,
Right.
because it's it's the same pathway of how you make melatonin and melanin and dopamine, and it's all connected to light. Like all the basically in the beginning you have let me not butcher it. I think tryptophan,
Yeah.
the amino acid, and that gets converted to uh, well, there are several steps, but then it's L-dopa, and then it's melanin, dopamine, and a couple of other things. And essentially, the same way you make melanin, the same way you would be making dopamine. And this is like another angle of, if you feel that you have, like, this classic adrenal fatigue symptoms where you feel sluggish and whatnot,
It could be
that is,
dopamine.
can be a huge like dopamine could be a huge factor here, together with testosterone. And the way of making more of that is kind of the same. It's like it's connected to the sun.
How is one low dopamine? That's because of like that would be blue light, right?
Yes, so
And
blue light.
literally like directly depletes it.
Yes, because it breaks down actually melanin.
Oh,
So
right. That's right. That's right.
yeah, so it depends on if you are hypoxic or you're not hypoxic. The non-hypoxic way is from what is it, tryptophan to melanin, to in the end melanin and dopamine. But if you're hypoxic, which we all kind of are if we like live in a bigger city and EMF is everywhere, and then you're actually doing the reverse. You're taking the melanin and converting it to dopamine, and you can do that only for a certain amount of time, because you don't have unlimited melanin if you
Melanin.
are not in the sun. Um,
Wait, hold on. So that's why you lose. Okay, so that's why you would lose a tan on an airplane, famously said.
Yes, well, not only that's one part of melanin, but also the melanin inside. You have shitloads inside, right? You have a lot in your brain and a lot
Yeah.
of in other places in your body, and you're using that up too. So when the skin stuff is gone and you're fully white, as I was, what is it? I don't know, a couple years ago.
Right.
You start using the internal stuff, but then the problem is the internal stuff has a function. Like like if you have a
It's
substantial
needed. Okay.
nitrate
Right.
in your brain that is like very important for all kinds of shit, and you're using the melanin from that place to basically supply your dopamine, that leads to other issues. And
Yes.
so that's the part where it's just crucial to renovate melanin all the time, because in the
Right.
end you're renovating dopamine at the same time.
Right. That's fucking wild. What is hypoxic?
That just means you are in a low oxygen state.
That would mean
and
because you're
and,
you're not
and I
making
mean,
enough of it.
no, it's more connected to EMF. So basically, if you live in a big city, you're hypoxic for sure.
Okay, so I'm fucking hypoxic for
Bro,
sure.
if you're in Mexico City, you're hypoxic as fuck.
100%.
Like, there's no way around
I'm hypoxic as fuck, and winter's coming, which is great.
it. Yes, you have to go, bro. Like Quintana Roo is
Quintana Roo
calling.
is the best for the season. Just that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or Puerto Escondido.
Or just out of fucking Mexico.
Dude, Mexico is perfect, I would say. I like, latitude wise and sun wise, it's really good. Just,
More down.
Exactly the south part, and well, everything but Mexico City.
Exactly.
And I mean, look, it's not like, I mean, you're a young guy, right?
Yes.
You can handle a lot of shit,
I'm
but
taking I'm taking the bullets I can.
yeah, but I mean, you also posted about some digestion stuff and whatnot, and those are like, those can be like little signs that like nudge you to maybe take a trip south.
Yes. Thank you for the reminder, dude. You know what's weird? I don't get these symptoms in New York, for example.
Really?
Yes, I was just
That's
there, and
interesting.
they were not as bad.
How long were you there?
A week.
Well, a week could be anything, right? Like,
Yes, but the symptoms were much, much less worse for like just a week, which is wild.
I mean, you get a lot of sun, right?
Yes.
So I heard this a couple of times anecdotally. I don't know how like it should be valid. So when you build melanin on the outside, the idea is to then at night suck it inside to the
Right,
places
right.
that
The
matter.
need, right.
Exactly. But the signal to suck it inside is essentially darkness, because
Ah,
then you make light from the inside, and melanin goes basically
comes
through the light.
right.
Yeah. And
That's
so
wild, dude.
when you go from an environment of Mexico City, which is quite south and actually has some sun, some serious sun,
Yes, it
to
does.
an environment that is north as fuck and cold,
Mm-hmm.
you should be theoretically sucking more melanin inside.
That's super interesting.
So maybe that could explain it, that you felt better, because all the outside melanin got in that 1 week got sucked inside. But then again, New York is so much EMF, like the sucking inside is also connected to how bad the EMF is. That actually kind of blocks it. So I don't
Yeah,
know, man. But it's
it's
maybe
something I'll figure out with just experiments. I just have to
exactly
keep trying to understand this.
exactly.
So could you help connect or explain the importance and the connection of light, water, and magnetism? What does that even mean?
Dude, so the first part is the light is the sun, but the
Mm-hmm.
light is also from the inside, from like
Right.
your inside. The water is not the water that you think about. It's cellular water. It has nothing to do with actual
Yes.
water. The water that is in this 3-word phrase is
Mm-hmm.
not the water you drink. It's the water that your cells make. Like,
Mm-hmm.
you can drink as much water as you want. It has nothing to do with
The
that
ones
water.
that make yes.
Yeah. And then the magnetism is pretty straightforward. That's the magnetism of, well, the planet, first of all, but also all the shit that we invented that is not so great.
Right.
And so that's kind of the light water magnetism slogan, I guess. Kind of is a summary of the things and the principles that Cruz teaches, that that you have to
It's simply that makes human nature.
exactly
Yes.
and also most importantly, everyone shits on Cruz that he's like, doesn't care about food, and it's not true, right? Like, obviously food plays a role, and he is very aware of that, and you can fuck up a lot of things with food, but like, he focuses on the three things that we've been neglecting for such a long time, that
Right.
nobody cares about. So it's more of a, like, a marketing thing to, like, pull your attention to the things that that you haven't paid attention to, like I haven't paid attention to for basically 30 years of my life.
Right.
And they're quite important. Like, I'm seeing they're quite important. Like, they actually produce tangible results that I see in blood work and
Right.
feeling better. Like, it's real.
Yes.
I'm not crazy. It's real.
No. Right.
And I think that's kind of the gist of it. That obviously the other things matter too. Obviously,
No, but that's a
matters.
simple introduction, and that's
Yes.
that's enough. That's very, very good for people
Yes.
to, like, drop down that rabbit hole.
Yes.
So, brother, what is the work you do? I guess in this aspect, in this area, what you've studied taught you about the world.
Again, sorry. Can you repeat?
So, what is the work and what you study around, or what you've experienced in this area of light water magnetism and health taught you about the world?
Man, that things are a lot more complicated.
Okay.
I mean, first of all, like, I haven't studied this shit. I'm a fucking business major. I don't. This was far away from me, like 1.5 years ago.
Yes.
So first of all, like, biology and biochemistry and medicine is complicated as fuck as it is. You don't, like, just the centralized stuff. But this is
without the light thing.
Without the
Yes.
light. But when you add the light thing, what the fuck?
Right.
So I kind of see this as, like, an absolutely endless hobby of, well, first of all, getting myself better.
Right.
But obviously, the Helios Brah account that I created was essentially to make myself believe in these things and try these things and talk about these things and learn about these things, and like, kind of, because it sounded so crazy, and like, son, are you fucking kidding me? And like, I made that account to kind of, like, engage with the people and, like, convince myself that this is real and I should try this. And obviously now there are some people who, like, follow me and ask questions, and I try to answer most things that I can answer, and that has been super fun. And obviously I'm getting better, and I want to share all of my findings and what worked, what didn't. And so, yeah, the idea is just to keep on doing what I'm doing, and hopefully to get rid of all of those chronic issues that I have. That's, like, fucking priority number one.
Yeah.
Seems to be working so far. I mean, I'll knock on wood and everything. And then and then see what happens with that. But what I have learned, yeah, that it's basically, the gist is that everything is a lot more complicated, and like, it I think there is a lot of, so, like, Occam's razor, right? Is a principle that, like, things should be simple, kind of. There's a simple explanation for why things happen.
Right.
And it's kind of bullshit, because it can be a lot more complicated than you can even, like, fathom. And like, that's fine. That a lot of nature is like that.
Right.
And so if you don't understand it, it's not nature's fault. It's your fault.
Yeah.
So like, rather, like, just work harder to understand this shit, instead of saying, no, that doesn't make sense, that's too complicated.
Right.
That it can't be that complicated. It
I
can
love
be
that.
a lot more complicated.
Yes.
Yes.
I love that. Brother, for my last question, what brings you most joy in life?
What brings me most joy in life? Well, obviously on the health journey, just getting healthy is kind of fun, bro. Like, if you're, like, not sleeping well, if you feel like shit, if, like, every day is a little bit worse, if you're, like, every day you're a little bit more tired, and you kind of feel like shit just is ending very gradually,
Mm.
and that feeling sucks. Like it sucks. Like
Mhm.
you kind of like, okay, I've had this shit for 3 or 4 years. I'm
Mhm.
seeing it's getting worse. I can 100% see that in the next 3 or 4 years it will be even worse, and
Mhm.
I don't know what to do. That feeling's horrible.
Right.
And I think like the first thing you need is just hope, and like I think like researching yourself and just finding or trying to find answers to your questions online is like the first step. But obviously there's a lot of scammers and fucking
Mhm. Mhm.
people that are full of shit, and you have to kind of get through that. But likely there are answers, especially if you don't have answers from the centralized system. Likely there are answers out there,
Mhm.
and yeah, I think just if you have like chronic stuff that is getting worse and worse, it's a lot of joy to like see
Fix it.
that
Yeah.
things are improving,
And that
at
it's
least to
possible.
some
Yeah.
extent. It's
I
possible, like
love that.
there is more to the conversation that the doctors told you.
Right.
And
That's beautiful.
I think that's fucking awesome, man. Like this has been especially like 2-ish years now, and that part has been amazing.
Thank God.
Yeah,
Wow. That's beautiful.
yeah,
Brother, thank you for coming on. That
sure.
was
My honor.
after a
Yeah,
while. That was
yeah.
amazing, bro. Thank you.
Cool, man. Cool. Thank you very much too, man.